chart for this eclipse, and I couldn't even, the tip of the iceberg was all the podcast was. So I wanted to spend some time together today for those of us who are here now and those of us who watch later, just kind of talking about what's going on here. This is a chart for the eclipse, which is exact in 2 days from now on Tuesday. And the clock face will move, but the aspects are what we're looking at. We're looking at the way, for example, we have the north node and Salacia opposite the south node and part of fortune, black Lilith, and Texas. It's going to be opposite no matter where you are in the world, but they look a little bit different. So let's go ahead and start there, because I think that this might be interesting. So we have here's Luna right here. She is opposite the sun. But usually what's interesting, eclipses happen when the sun and the moon get close to the nodes. And the nodes, the only node that's you can see right here is this little omega sign with a T in it. That's the north node. Guaranteed all the time. It's not often in the chart, but exactly across so this is north node at 6 degrees of Aries. Exactly opposite, 6 degrees of Libra over here. This says 8 right here, but the south node is going to be over here at 6 degrees of Libra. And oftentimes the eclipses will be in the same nodal signs, because full eclipses happen when the nodes are really close. Partial eclipses, we have a partial eclipse coming up. So you can see that the nodes are actually a little bit far, 25 degrees of Pisces and 6 degrees of Aries. That's not a conjunction. But they're close-ish. And if we think about 25 degrees of Virgo and 6 degrees of Libra, again, close-ish, partial eclipse. But the nodes are what actually are the underground driving energetic of what is happening with the eclipse. I talked a lot in the podcast about the Virgo Pisces axis. I want to focus right here on what's going on in the nodes. There's a lot happening. It's really cool. So we have here the north node at 6 degrees of Aries, conjunct Salacia. Salacia is an interesting, the things that come up in this chart are so cool. So in general, eclipses are times when we're going through a reset, and lunar ones are much more about our internal world, our interpersonal relationships. Solar is about our external world and the world around us. But right now we have North Node conjunct Salacia. The Roman myth of Salacia isn't so great. She's the female divinity of the sea. She's worshipped as the goddess of saltwater. She presided over the depths of the ocean. It sounds a little bit like another Inuit goddess that we know, but she was ultimately known to be the wife of Neptune. But in the story of the Romans, it says that Salacia actually was enamored with some other suitor, and that she didn't necessarily want to have Neptune as a husband, so she fled from him, and he sent a dolphin after her to persuade her to come back. Which is interesting, right? I mean, we always know that the Greco-Roman myths are laced with these interesting hints of like misogyny, for lack of a better word. So Salacia, that's part of her myth, but I would offer her other part of her myth is she's associated with codes of light. If you think about the way the sun's light filters through the water. She's especially at this time, we can feel like we're all going through an upgrade. She's definitely a goddess, a moon goddess, a goddess of the water, a goddess of the sea, and also associated with high vibrational codes of light coming through. The North Node is where we're headed. The North Node is in the sign of Aries. South Node is where we've been. South Node is in the sign of Libra. Libra is balance and political balance and collective balance, everybody together. Aries is I am. So we're really being activated in the I am sense to own, as I said in the podcast, to own our power. Salacia's here, snuggled up next to the North Node to remind us that we are the change and that the light codes are coming in. But let's get to what else is going on in this chart because I find it pretty darn interesting. So opposite the North Node, we have the South Node. I didn't write it in here, but if the part of fortune here, the circle with a cross on it, and right above it is Black Moon Lilith, they're both at 8 degrees of Libra. Right in there at 6 degrees of Libra is going to be the South Node. So let's talk about what's going on there because I find that also very indicative of the energies we might be feeling. The part of fortune, that circle with a cross in it, is actually it's a placement in a birth chart. It shows where it's placed shows how people can access luck, abundance, and like 3D world success. So I find it interesting that the part of fortune is conjunct Libra on the South Node, because that's also showing us that we're going to be leaning back on all the lessons of the collective in the past. And we're going to be actually not just leaning back on our own personal lessons, but there are karmic lessons that exist that are palpable in the collective that we all almost know, like we're not going there, we are going here. We can feel the morality of things like that. That's where the South Node in Libra is coming in, and it's a different kind of morality than just quote unquote political morality. It's about that unity consciousness, that oneness. Um, and when we look at where the part of fortune is placed and we work with how that energy is placed, it's not just, oh, the part of fortune shows up, you're going to be successful. All of this, even when Salacia shows up, all these planets are saying, here's what's happening. You're going to get to work with this energy. So where we've come from is that we know that there are some lessons that the collective has learned. Where we're going to is that codes of light and female goddess energy is going to guide us to be the I am presence that we're meant to be. What's also present in this chart, which is great though, here is right above the part of fortune, that little circle with the cross in it, that the moon with the cross beneath it, that's Black Moon Lilith. So Black Moon Lilith is also activating the South Node. Lilith, if we think about, I mean, I've talked about her so much, but she's said to be the first wife of Adam. She wasn't made from Adam's rib like Eve was made from Adam's rib. She was made from the same stuff Adam was made of. When she didn't submit to Adam, she wanted to be his peer. She wouldn't submit to him. She had to flee the Garden of Eden. And then Eve was created to be the surrogate of Adam. So then Lilith becomes depicted as this corrupt, deranged, demonic, baby-eating goddess, right? This is the type of stuff that we're not that's in our past. This is the type of stuff that, and it's interesting that Lilith and the part of fortune are coming up on the South Node in Libra to sort of almost remind us of where we've been. I would not say ominously, but I would say the word that keeps coming to mind is palpably. The other thing I want to talk about in this chart that I find pretty cool, we still have Eris over here conjunct Chiron. Eris conjunct Chiron, Aries. Eris is reminding us to get over our egos, to remember that we are a part of a collective and that we need to be making meaningful contributions. Chiron is how can we use our weak spots to become our strong spots? How are our fears holding us back? How can we lean into the place that we really want to go? And it's all happening in this I am sign, and this is where the North Node is for this eclipse. The other thing that's happening here, we at 23 degrees of Scorpio, we have Venus conjunct Spica, S-P-I-C is Spica, and ARCT is Arcturus. So Spica is the main fixed star in the Virgo constellation. It's one of 4 royal stars. A fixed star, generally as it sounds, doesn't go super far, super fast, if at all. But Spica is also associated with light codes. But she's a star of abundance within the constellation of Virgo, but she's and her name actually means sheaf of wheat. And if we think about what she's saying to us now, we can also consider that these fixed stars were very super important to our ancestors because the fixed stars were how it's like the way the moon and the sun moved in the sky before there were these technological calendars. The fixed stars were how they knew how to plant their agriculture, how to navigate the waters, how to know where they were going. So fixed stars such as Spica and Arcturus, another fixed star, are reminding us that we have more tools at our dispense than merely the ones that are presented to us. Technology is great, but as in a Uranian fashion, we are the high technology that we seek. So, Arcturus is also, as I mentioned, a fixed star, and that's also a star that can bestow kind of this 3D manifestation abundance if we work with the energy. So, how do we work with the energy? What's going on? Venus is in the sign of Scorpio. Venus is in the sign of Scorpio, and she's doing a couple. She's doing a couple interesting things here. She's trine Jupiter, she's square Pluto, and she's opposing Chiron. So that means trine Jupiter, square Pluto, opposing Chiron. Jupiter's expansion, opposing Chiron. Whatever's going to come up about our wounds, we need to make sure that we are leaning into the goddess energy, the Venusian energy. Also, this speak in Arcturus energy, that our success, our prosperity comes from how we work with what comes up. So even though these are fixed stars, nothing's ever fixed. So it's kind of a powerful chart. I hope that wasn't too much. I'm going to stop my share here and see if we have any questions.